How are you taking all these energies? Yeah, I lost all of you while we were waiting. There she is. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, finally. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Well, for everybody who don't know Natasha and Navigating Magic, she has two accounts. Please go check both of her accounts out. She is magical, truly. She really has magic on her account in every way, not just astrology, but other things. She talks to animals and other stuff. I won't say everything, so go check her out. And I had a great opportunity to she had me as a guest on her podcast. Thank you so much for that as well. Hi, and she's from Australia. So tell me, what time is it there?
It's 9 a.m.
Okay, it's early in the morning.
Yes.
Okay, so good morning to you.
Good morning.
Oh, it's so nice to have you. Thank you so much for taking your time. I know you're busy and you have lots of things on your plate. And today, the topic you chose is a void moon, of course. And I know last Saturday we had 17 hours of void moon. For us here in Northern Hemisphere, it was all day long, from morning until we went to bed. So, what do
We had
people
ours
do when the
overnight. It was Saturday night into Sunday night.
yeah,
So I love it when the moon is void overnight because you're sleeping, you're resting, you're not shopping, you're not signing things, you're not making commitments. So
yeah.
it's a good thing.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, so tell first of all, let's tell people what is void moon, of course, before we start
Of course.
going deeper.
Yes. So I guess for us as humans, you learn that when you study the sky, you learn how predictable the moon is. It's as predictable as the calendar. And since the beginning of time, this is how the ancients, our ancestors, this is how they actually kept track of time through the lunar phases in the sky. And so we learn from that how the moon, it teaches us about endings and beginnings and how they are really a normal, regular and rhythmic occurrence in our lives because old worlds need to die in order for new worlds to dawn upon us. And so when we think about, the various phases in our lives, we have ups and downs, and the moon every single month gives us these ups and downs. And so the moon is actually our fastest planetary body. As you may know, it moves around, one cycle takes 28 and a half days, nearly 29 days.
Yeah.
And when the moon is void, it's basically so every 2.5 days, the moon stays in a particular zodiac sign.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you could be born under a Virgo moon or an Aries moon, and that's going to have some implications for you throughout your life. Now, when the moon is void, there are a few different definitions. There are 3 to be exact, but the most modern one that we use, it's basically when the moon, as it moves through each sign of the zodiac, it basically loses its aspect. Like, it's basically the way I like to describe it in everyday language, because we want to simplify things as best we can. It's basically, so let's say the moon is in Aries and the next sign is Taurus. So a moon is void when it's basically changing signs from Aries into Taurus. And one of the best explanations I have is just imagine monkey bars. So you're holding on to Aries because you're in Aries and you need to move into Taurus. Now that leap between one to the other is where the moon void happens, where basically the moon is not making any aspect between the signs. Now, the moon void can last anywhere from a few minutes to many, many hours, almost 24 hours. And so when this happens, we basically we're in this time of limbo. And anything that we basically don't have what we consider like the lunar support. We don't have the support from the heavens in that moment of time. It's a void time. It's a moment of stillness. And so this actually happens every 2.5 days. So you can download a moon void app, or you can go online. There's moon calendars where you can track in your time zone when the moon void happens. And you actually, whether you're conscious of this or not, we actually start to feel it. And so obviously it's so important, and I teach this to my clients all the time. Obviously, we'd rather be aware of when the moon is void so that we can, I guess, decipher and navigate some of the situations that arise throughout our lives.
Yeah,
And
I
because I
like
guess
that.
yeah, and the good news is like the moon voids don't really last that long, but when they do happen, I guess you do want to be aware of it because it's really a time for resting, editing, work, and I guess retreating backwards instead of initiating and starting new projects.
That's beautiful. Yeah, many people, I also have clients that then ask me, even my husband all the time, what does this mean? Can I start this? Can I start that? I said, just keep doing what you're doing. It's
Yeah,
fine. You don't have to stop doing things. Just don't
of course.
stop, just don't make the first call or the first email or the first initiating, situation. That's going to be a little bit, in that sense. Yeah.
Exactly, because I guess I always tell my clients when the moon is void, nothing will come of it. And what that means is, like you said, anything you initiate, start, or produce during a moon void time, because you don't have the support of the heavens, nothing is going to come of it. And so, what I have learned, and I have done this through a lot of trial and error and so much life experience over the last 4 or 5 years, that I have now I'm a very religious with it because I'm so mindful. So I think it's like every morning I check the moon calendar. Okay, I'm aware, and then it's just like a mental reminder. I map my monthly cycle at the start of every month, so I know, okay, key dates, and it just helps me navigate appointments, navigate even relationships with other people, because
Yeah.
I'd like to teach some of your listeners some positive ways to use the moon void, and then there are some negatives that we really want to be mindful of. So I want to give you a bit of a balance and
Yes,
some helpful,
absolutely.
practical tips that can really help you go a long way.
Awesome. Awesome.
Now, one thing I do want to say is moon voids have been practiced, since the beginning of astrology, but they became extremely popular in the 80s when Nancy Reagan's astrologer, so she was the wife of the president, so she had an astrologer named Joan Quigley, and she famously advised Nancy Reagan when like important times for dropping, or advantageous times for dropping big news. And we're talking things like when to invade another country or when the economy is about to fail. And so, you might have heard the saying, millionaires don't have astrologers, but billionaires do.
Yeah, JP Morgan. JP Morgan said it.
Yep,
Yes. Yeah.
yep,
And
yep,
he
yep.
was a
And
billionaire.
exactly, definitely. So it's really interesting to see this, that even in like presidential campaigns, they've got astrologers to, obviously, because they're making big decisions that don't just impact the citizens of their country, like the way our world functions today. Any decision America makes, obviously it's going to impact the rest of the world. And so it's an interesting a strategy to take, and just knowing that if presidents and billionaires, are using this, then why can't we tap into this and use these energies in order to help us, navigate through life?
Absolutely.
So I would love to teach you. So I want you to consider moon voids, because they happen every 2.5 days. And you can check the app. We're living in such amazing times now where we have technology at literally the tip of our fingers. So check the app. I've got an Android phone, and it's just called Moon Void. Of course, I think, or yeah,
Yeah.
Moon Void Calendar. And basically, because it happens every 2.5 days, because the moon is one of the fastest, it is the fastest planetary body, we want to be mindful of how we're, arranging our weeks. And so I want you to consider a moon void like a mini Mercury retrograde. So we all
Mm-hmm.
know about, the big things with Mercury retrograde. Don't, be careful, not necessarily to say don't sign contracts, because we can't limit ourselves in that, in any capacity. But when we have a Mercury retrograde, it's just check the details, read the fine print, be extra careful when signing documents, because you might have to revise things. If you initiate something, you might be reviewing things and things like that. And so, because the moon, during a moon void, the moon is untethered, so it's not attaching between any zodiac sign, and there's inactivity. Basically, the thing that you create during a moon void basically receives that energy and that frequency.
Got
And
it.
so if you're starting an important project, or you're signing a contract, you're buying a car, you're buying even a laptop, you don't have the support of the luminaries. And the thing that I want you to consider really importantly is that the moon doesn't have any light of its own. So when we see the moon waxing and waning in a full moon, and receiving no light with the new moon, the moon is actually receiving the light from the sun, which in essence, it's very feminine, it's very receptive. And so when we think about this, the moon is here to help us anchor our manifestations into the physical world. And so any project that we initiate, any activity, any important contract, or it could be everyday things, important things, big or little. We want to harness as much of the positive energy that we can. And because we have
Yes.
access to this information, we want to be very practical with it. So
I know.
it's
I
ideal
just want to
to,
say, Natasha, I just need to just interrupt you for a second. I love you. I'm mesmerized with your teaching. I think you're beautiful. I'm just listening, and I'm like, oh my God. Always people tell me what are, your guests, what are their big threes, and I see your Virgo is shining. So tell people what your big
oh,
threes, and then you can continue. Because I can just feel it.
thank
It's
you.
beautiful.
From a fellow Gemini, that means a lot to me.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I want to share a story to, I guess, and I use the story as a teaching point here about, because we're more likely to remember the stories than we are, the factual
Yes.
details. But back in 2021, my husband and I we were engaged then, and we were looking at dates for our wedding to select the date, pick the venue, and then start planning the big, beautiful day. And I had been dabbling with the moon void, and I was doing it with things like little things with business, or signing things, and even catching up with people. I started to just play with it, and I was interested in how the results that I was getting, both positive and negative.
Mhm.
And I remember this date like never before, but we had arranged with the venue for our chosen reception to meet with the venue. And I remember checking the moon void, and the moon void, it was the 3rd of April 2021, and
Uh-huh.
the moon was void at 4:45 p.m. and
Uh-huh. Okay.
and so I thought, it's in the afternoon, that's fine. And so we went and had we reached out to the venue, and he said the only time I can see you is 4:30 p.m. Now, knowing that the moon was void in 15 minutes, in my head, I'm like, okay, well, we're initiating the meeting at 4:30
Now.
p.m.,
Yeah. Mhm. Mhm.
which is well before the moon void. We've got 15 minutes. I don't think we need more than 15 minutes to view the venue. We've been there before. And I genuinely thought, because right now when I'm booking the meeting, it wasn't a moon void, that we'd be all clear.
Mhm.
And so sure enough, we got to the venue, and I thought, oh, maybe if we get there early, he'll be able to see us earlier. And so we got there at 4:20, and he did see us earlier. By 4:25, we went in with him. We had a coffee, sat down, had the talk, and we then looked at the calendar, and we booked September in 2021. And by the time we had pulled out the calendar and booked it in, it was now into the moon void time. And at the time, I just thought, well, we started the meeting before the moon void, so I'm safe. And I think that was me just trying to be positive. Little
But I
naive
would agree
me.
with you. I would do the same thing. I would even now that you're telling me the
Yeah,
story, I think, what can go wrong? I mean, she
yeah,
started it before. Like this is
yeah,
my thought even now. What?
yeah. Exactly right. And so the only date that he had available in September was September the 19th. Now, September the 19th was the birthday of one of our bunny rabbits, and our bunny rabbits is how Nick and I met. So it was an extra special sentimental meaning to that day. And so I was holding on to it. Now, we've probably all got different memories of 2021. Some of us have probably blocked a lot of the middle of that year out, but that was the year in Australia at least, we had some pretty intense lockdowns
Yeah. You were
from
really,
the
yeah,
end
I
of
remember you guys.
June.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really, really bad, very intense, very authoritarian government. And so we we got to it was I remember we went into lockdown saying, it's going to be 2 weeks, and just knowing the 2020, I just thought, okay, well, even if we are in lockdown June and July, that's okay. September's still 2 months after that, we'll be fine. But it became this long nightmare of a dream that we just couldn't get out of. And I still held on to that date. I'm like, no, I'm a bride. I'm enthusiastic and hopeful about the future. What could go wrong? And I remember, I had done all the manifestation that I could to hold that date. And it got to the 1st of September, and we were waiting for our mayor to basically, at the premier of our state, to make a statement. And she said at the start of September that, they were going to try and slowly ease off all the lockdown rules. And she said people can get married in September. And I thought, great, that's amazing, holding on to that date, visualizing it's going to happen. However, she mentioned only 5 people can attend the wedding. Now, Jasmine, I don't know about you, but coming from like a European, Middle Eastern families, there was no
Yeah.
way we could have 5 people at our wedding. And me
Right.
being a natural rule breaker, I'm like, well, that's okay. We're going to have 20 people. We're going to break the rules, and I don't care if the cops come, if they stop us. I don't care. They're not going to harm us. I'm not doing anything wrong. I wanted to have the wedding on that date. And as it got closer, I soon realized, it was like that was September the 1st, September the 19th was the date. As it got closer, we realized it wasn't my fears that was coming up, it was everyone else around me. It was like parents and siblings all worried about, coming and leaving their homes during the lockdown period. And so I was still holding on to that day. I was like, well, if you don't want to be there, that's your bad luck. I was just very stubborn, you could say. And this was supposed to September the 19th in 21 was a Sunday. On the Friday night, we actually booked an animal reading. Animal communicators have their own
Yeah.
therapists. And so,
Yeah. That's yeah.
yep, like the same way astrologers have astrologers. And I booked in the meeting, an appointment, and I was so hopeful. We just wanted to know from our rabbit that had passed, and it was her birthday on the Sunday, the same day as the wedding day. Should we still go ahead with the wedding? And I was like so confident that the rabbit would say yes. And when we booked the call, again, just a naive bride, enthusiastic, in the call I was so surprised. In the session, what came out of it was the date, her birthday, and having our wedding date on her birthday was more about us meeting, about Nick and I meeting
Yeah.
together. And it was more of a target and a goal. Her purpose, because the work that I do is like soul lesson animal communication, was that we meet. Her purpose was not that we get married on her date.
Ah, okay.
And
So she
that
wasn't
just
kind of,
helped
yeah, okay.
me. Yeah, exactly. So her purpose in our life was to help us meet, not to help us get married on that date. And
Mm,
so
mm,
that just helped me release that date. But I reflect back on the initial meeting with the venue where we literally pulled out the calendar and locked in the date
mm.
during a moon void. And that's when I knew that there's no way that anything you initiate that's important, you don't get the support. Nothing will come of it during a moon void.
I can just a little story of my own. I'm working in finance still. Anyway, so I'm collecting. I'm a part of a collection team in some sense, and I was testing this void moon. How much money can I collect if I send emails of collections during void moon?
Ah,
Well, I collected zero.
there you
I
go.
literally, yeah, it was either send me the invoice again, or we never got it. It was nothing,
Yeah,
so I really so now I'm really very mindful of, when I do collections or when something important comes up. I just think it's important. Also, what I learned, other astrologers, as an advice, to file your taxes while the void moon is, of course. and i
I
and I
did
did
that.
it, and they asked us for something. We told them what they needed, no problem, all good. So anyway, I know you're going to tell us more plus and minus things, but I really also very mindful of void mode. Of course, it's very powerful, guys. I mean,
Yeah,
powerful in the sense that,
it really is. And
yeah, moon is not, as you said, it's not connected. So moon is not, she's not connected with anybody. So she feels disconnected with the
yeah,
other universe, let's say. So she's alone within herself, and she won't help you, and you need a moon's help.
of
Okay.
course. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember earlier last year, I texted my tax accountant and I said, you need to lodge our tax between 11:14 and 11:41. And he's like, what if I do it at 11:50? I go, no, then we have to wait 3 days. I said, he set like a random time on his phone and he goes, you're crazy. I go, if you wanted the details, I can tell you why, but just this is when I need it lodged. He's like, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
But
was
like you
filing my
said,
own,
it
and I was
worked.
just waiting. Yeah, I was waiting. It was
Yeah.
midnight or something. I was waiting after midnight last year to
How
click
funny.
send. Anyway, that's good
Now, like,
stories. Yeah, you use
you
them.
know, we want to learn how to utilize the moon void for both positive and negative things. So obviously, don't book your wedding date during a moon void. Don't buy a car. Don't sign contract to buy a house or a really big purchase during a moon void. As I said, we're treating it like a mini Mercury retrograde.
Yeah.
But
Or
there are
sorry,
times
or
when
sorry, or just simple launch like a website or do a post. I'm even mindful when I do like a little even post on
yeah,
Instagram, like stuff like that you're launching out in the world in that
yeah.
sense.
Yes,
Can
yes.
be,
And I've noticed that too. I once posted a post during a moon void, and then there wasn't much engagement and interaction on it. And I was like, this is supposed to be an active
yeah.
time. And then I looked at the calendar, okay, deleted it, and
Mm,
then I started again after the moon void.
mm, yeah,
We,
yeah,
we need to, I guess, make those mistakes ourselves in order to learn how to navigate some of this.
absolutely.
Um, but like you said, so one of the things that we want to be, or some of the things we want to be doing during a moon void is definitely so lodge your tax, because remember the mantra of a moon void is nothing will come of it. So obviously, if you're lodging your tax, you're not going to get the tax man ringing you up going, please explain this expense, or for them to reject your claim. One thing that and I have to be really mindful of how, we I guess, advise on this, because this is, I guess, it's for educational purposes. I'm not giving medical advice at all, but I have
Absolutely.
learned to be really, really strategic with booking doctor's appointments and also vet appointments during a moon void. And it goes without saying, obviously, if there's an emergency, you go. You're not going to wait 2.5 days for the next appointment. But I have learned, and I had 2 years ago, one of our bunny rabbits got unfortunately hit on the eye by a cat. And because cats have, a lot of bacteria in their paws,
Yeah.
it was a bit of a nasty infection, and rabbits are so vulnerable. And so we had to go through, some treatment. It was ongoing care at the vets. And it could have led to a more severe case of, removing the eye or, whatnot. And obviously, I did everything in my power to minimize that. And so
Wow.
what I did, and it was, call it a coincidence or, having, the gods on your side during that period of time. But anytime, we booked an appointment, whether it be on the phone or when we were at the vet to book the next appointment or to book the referral, I would have the calendar in front of me, and I would always make sure that the vet appointment was during a moon void. Now,
So
that
the
meant
call or the exact appointment? The appointment or
the
the
exact
call?
appointment, the exact appointment,
Okay. Okay.
because I wanted the appointment. We needed the appointment to happen. We needed the medication and the care and the imaging.
Okay.
But what I didn't want was for the doctor to say, or the vet to say, okay, I now need to refer you to the surgeon, or I now need, something else to come of it. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I did this successfully, like our rabbit, she's now 7 years old, she's thriving. When I did
Beautiful.
that successfully, it really gave me the confidence to move ahead, going, okay, the moon void can be used in these circumstances and not to be used in these circumstances.
Mhm. So you have really researched and made notes and use this in your everyday life, and you have like statistics. You have your own data
Oh,
with statistics. I
absolutely.
love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
I've got,
I love
yeah,
that.
I've got many. And so,
Mm.
like even if we had our own doctor's appointments, I'd be like, if it's a general checkup, or if something was wrong, you feel like you're not right. Okay, let's book it during a moon void. And every time nothing would come of it. And so it's just this peace of mind, assurance, but also you're being very strategic and very clever with how to navigate some of these energies.
I love
And
that.
so, yeah, so not last year, the year before in 2022, we were moving out of our property and renting it out to people. And then we were moving into our second property. And because it was literally the week leading up to Christmas, it was a very, very tight turnaround. And so moving day was on the 24th of December, so Christmas Eve. It might have been the 23rd. And what happened was the um, moon was void that day from 9 a.m. all the way till 4 p.m. In Sydney. And what I had done was, that was we were supposed to move out that morning, and then the new tenants were supposed to move in that afternoon. By 1 o'clock, they were supposed to have moved into our house. And so, me knowing what I know about the moon void, I didn't want to move into our house, which we live in now,
Yes.
during a moon void. So I rang up the agent and I said, look, is there any chance, because it's Christmas time, can we move in the night before in the afternoon, just to give us some more time? And the agent said, yep, no problem. At 1 o'clock, come and pick up the keys. And I thought, great, that gives us so much more time to move in the day before. So I remember when we put the keys into the door, it was like a non-moon void time. So it was a positive thing for us. And I just set the intention that this is going to be a positive move. And the unfortunate thing was the tenants moved in the following day to our house, and they moved in during a moon void.
So what happened? So
And
did it not stay long, or what happened?
well, what happened was we thought we were going to keep that house. And they had signed a long lease, but we had, in the meantime, had some financial advice. We had some, we were working with a team of finances and brokers, and they basically advised us to sell the house in order to invest in another part of Australia. And so they had moved in on Christmas Eve. And basically, by the end of January, so not even 6 weeks later, we had to tell them, I'm so sorry, we need to sell the house. You need to move out.
Oh my God. Yeah, so it
It
didn't
was,
work for them
no,
because of
not
the
at
void
all.
moon. That's
Of course. And it was
amazing.
just crazy timing. Like, I think if it wasn't Christmas time, I could have rearranged the dates and said to the agent, okay, let's give them the weekend or do it on the Monday. But because of the timing, it had to be done. And so unfortunately for them, to be told, moving is a big process. There's lots
Yeah,
involved and it's
I
consuming
know.
and draining and yeah.
I
And
know.
so to
I've
have told
moved
them,
so many times, Natasha. I don't even want to. I can't even count. Anyway, so this is my 18th address in my life,
oh, wow.
and it's
Here
not the
I
last one. I can
am.
tell you, Rachel.
Oh, that's good then. Well, I'm looking forward to Pluto moving out of my fourth house into the fifth because I'm like, I'm done. I'm going to stay in the one place.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Same here. Same here. But I still want
Yeah,
to move one more time. Anyway,
yeah,
tell me
yeah,
more. So what is a good? So we should. So this is a good things. We should watch out. Yes, we want for the things that we want to have long-term implications. Then we do
yeah,
them. When it's
absolutely.
not void moon, and the things that we
Yeah.
maybe. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
And so, like, I guess to help, like some of the listeners like learn more about this, I want you to,
Mhm.
whether you've got emails or, you might remember a date or you might remember a time. You want to look back over, your life and big moments. You might maybe remember the day you bought your new car or the day you bought your house or you think, big thing, the day you started your business, the day you launched your
Mhm.
website. So go back over your social media posts and check the date, check the time, and have a look. There are calendars you can find online that can help you backtrack on moon void times, and just have a look and go, okay, has my business succeeded? Yes.
Yeah.
Then was it during a moon void? It probably wasn't. I can almost, guarantee that it wasn't. And then there might be some things that you initiate during a moon void, and then you go, it's not to say that it's you're doomed because we're not limited in any way, shape, or form. We are powerful creators of our reality, of our lives. So you just want to go, okay, well, what needs to change? Can that, and so there are ways that you can navigate this. And I think this is where, like business astrology, it's become like a, it's like a hobby of mine to work on this with some of my clients because it really helps you accelerate some of the forces at play.
Okay. So now that you mentioned business, what about people who were born during the void of the
Yes,
moon? Of
very,
course.
very good question. Well, I was born during a moon void. And
And
so
and my
again, I'm
and
speaking,
my son is. So I'm just curious. What do
oh,
you
there
have to
you
say?
go.
Okay.
Okay. So what happens, what I found in my experience is that these individuals, they sense situations around them they're very intense. So when we
Mm,
think about emotional sensitivity, I found that a lot of people born during a moon void are very emotionally sensitive. So Jasmina, would you consider your son to be, I know he's still young.
no, no, he's 3.5, but I can tell you yes, and especially he
Yeah.
has moon in Scorpio, so
So
it's
that's double
double.
intensity.
So it's
Yeah,
double
yeah,
because
yeah,
he doesn't want to talk. Like I have moon Gemini
yeah.
moon, and I want to talk about everything. He no, and he needs to
I can
his
imagine.
environment. He's very observant about his environment, and
Yeah.
he's cautious. You can it's
Okay.
very you can see that, yes,
Yeah.
in his approach.
So, like people born during a moon void,
Mhm.
I guess they're, have emotional intensity. They can also, not understand their turbulent emotions, and especially at a young age, because obviously you're learning your own self, but then there are parameters around you, like schooling or parents or, family members, and so from that, I found that people born during moon void can experience loneliness, and they
Mhm.
experience feelings of being, feeling different or being misunderstood by others. And then as they get older, they basically go through phases in their life where they are continually reinventing themselves.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's taking on the symbolic.
Yeah, of course. When I think about my son, he's growing and he will understand these things. But even now, just with 3.5, he says he's sad for many different things, which is not. He said when he's tired or when he misses somebody. Like there's a bunch of other
Um,
reasons why
yeah.
he cannot have what he wants. He says I'm sad, so he goes
Oh,
to that emotion as a primary emotion. But I'm just thinking it's something. He goes to that. Sadness is very very deep emotion. It's not something. So
yeah.
he goes to the intensity of explaining the world around him through being sad, right? Instead
Oh,
of being mad or being, anyway.
yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
I guess that shows the emotional intensity that he's feeling for him to
Yeah.
go. And I guess as he gets older, he'll probably experience. He'll be able to add more words to his vocabulary and be able to name them. But for a long time, he probably won't be able to identify what it is that he's feeling, even though you can probably see it
Yeah.
from your perspective.
Yeah, of course. I look as an astrologer as well. I'm trying not to affect that, but it's good. It's helping me to parent my kid for
Of
sure, and I love it.
course,
But yeah.
yeah. I was just gonna say he's so blessed to have a mother that
Thank
does know astrology and knows his chart very well, because it would
you.
completely alter your parenting experience.
Yeah. So would you consider then also the aspects of that person who was born during the moon void, of course, if the moon is aspected maybe hard or has hard aspects or good aspects, does that affect that person or
Um,
no?
yeah, it definitely does. Like I had one client, believe it or not, they had absolutely no aspects from their moon to any other planet in their chart. And the first thing I asked them, because the moon represents their mother, I asked them, I said, do you have an absent mother? Like, how's your relationship with your mother? And they basically said they have no feelings towards their mother at all.
That's that's
And
I can believe.
I'd consider that to be a bit extreme, which makes sense with the
Mm,
symbology of the moon itself. And so they have their mother's in their life. It's not like she's not in their life, but they have no feelings towards her. They just consider her another member of their family and not
that's
mother,
interesting.
like the
I'm gonna
relationship, the two-way.
I might go off topic, but I'm a Gemini, so everybody will forgive me. It's not off topic completely, but I was just looking last week the natal chart of, I don't want to name his name because I don't want to get banned. The person whose list just got out of the news,
Yeah,
the EP guy, who
yes.
anyway. He has no aspects to his moon whatsoever.
Oh,
Anyway,
interesting.
explains a lot, I would say. But
It
anyway,
would,
so
it would. Um, and what's in, like, if you look in it throughout history, Winston Churchill was born during a moon void. I think
okay.
his moon was at
Mhm.
29 Leo.
Mm,
And it's not to say, like, often people think, oh, I'm born during a moon void. Does that mean my life, nothing will come of it? Well, we all know who Winston
no,
Churchill
no.
is all these years later. And then there's an actor named Ted Turner. Pretty
Mhm.
sure he played Becker
I know
in
him
that
by
TV
name.
show. Yes.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he was also born during a moon void. So it's an interesting facet to know when you think, and I'm sure there are many other people, like historic examples of born during a moon void. So it's
How did
it's
you experience it? That if you want to share, how is your experience with your because you were born with a from your perspective. I can just watch other people
yeah.
and think, but how you actually live it. What would you say?
So okay, so not only do I have a moon void, but my moon is in the 12th house. So that
Oh, okay.
adds another layer
Yeah,
um,
because you have
to
Virgo
my
moon, right?
experience.
Virgo. Yeah,
Virgo
yeah,
moon, yes,
yeah.
Virgo sun and moon. So I was born at the new moon, an eclipse. I was an eclipse baby. And what
Mm,
I found that when I was growing up, and even sometimes now as an adult, like I'm 34, I still don't, I can't process my emotions where I'm feeling something. It's even positive. It's not always negative. I could be feeling really happy. I don't know why I'm happy, or I can't
Okay.
name the emotion. And then the same thing with negative. If I'm having down moments, I'm feeling something and I can't name the emotion, or I'm feeling sad, or even anger. I think anger is more prominent. I'm feeling angry, but I don't know why. I don't know what's caused it. And so I've
Mm-hmm.
had to teach myself how to decipher, I guess, is this something I'm experiencing internally, or is this something I'm picking up as an empath
But
from
it's a
other people?
12 house moon. Yeah, so it's so you yeah, it's a 12 house moon as well. So it's hard to because people with 12 house moons pick up stuff from out
Yeah,
absolutely in my experience from clients and friends and 12 house people with the moons there really pick up like psychics. I can
yeah,
like pick up stuff, even psychic. Like it's
yeah,
very
yeah,
deep.
yeah,
It's not
yeah.
yeah.
Sure. And like on that psychic note, I can say that there are moments in my life, and I'm talking big things where, like when I was maybe 9 or 10 years old, I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I would say something so bizarre, like this person's going to die, or this person's going to be born today, or, this person's going to have a baby, or someone's going to move house. I would wake up, sit up, and I would blurt it out and then go back to sleep. And like my sister and I, we used to share a room, and she's got all these memories of me just saying things,
Wow.
and that they would come true. And my husband now has like a collection of recordings of me in the middle of the night, just
So, but you don't know
saying,
what is it about. You don't know who it is. What you just have this. So imagine maybe
well,
you.
well,
Yeah.
to be honest with you, I do know who I say names.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned things. I had a really, really profound experience just before Christmas where I woke up in the middle of the night and I said, someone is going to die this week. And it wasn't a dream. When you're in that dream state, I
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
definitely awake. It was, I'm awake. And it doesn't feel like it's my thought controlling my words. It just feels like there's this, and I'm not possessed. I'm not going down that path. It's this internal knowing. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
actually voice it. It's not a thought. It's a voice. Like I'm actually speaking it out loud. And then within that week, my auntie passed away,
Wow.
and we didn't think she would pass like that soon. And so that was a very big shock that I guess I'm still processing.
Okay, so that can be part of void moon that you were born. So understanding the emotions, interesting. Yeah, because I'm
Yeah,
thinking void moon, of course, can be like a moon also that doesn't have support, so it doesn't know what he's doing, so kind of out of control. Let's say not
yes,
really, but not like out of bounds planet, but in a sense, right? In
yeah.
a sense that doesn't. Okay, I don't want to interrupt anymore. Continue with your thoughts. I love this lecture. We should do a lecture on this. This is amazing.
Uh,
Like, this is pure
Thank
knowledge
you.
from experience. No, but
Thank you.
from experience, it's the best way to learn astrology is to all these examples of how this works. Absolutely amazing.
Of course.
Awesome.
And it's like the more that we learn about the moon, the more that we can I guess like decipher, and the best way to do it is through your life experience. Like no book is ever going to teach you everything you need to know. You need to apply it. And so
Yes,
like how I've I'm going to toot my own horn here. How I not only learnt this but became good at it was I'd apply what I learned to the people around me.
yeah.
And so
Hmm.
having that has really, I guess, grounded my experience, because we can be, up here thinking about it from like a spiritual perspective, but it's so important to bring it and anchor it. And I think that's what the moon, working with your moon, can really help you do that, and do it well, more importantly. So I'm trying to think of another example in my life where the moon
No,
void, um,
it's okay. Okay, we're talking almost an hour. We don't want to. Okay.
okay,
I don't
yeah,
want to
yeah,
waste your
that's
time.
fine.
I know we almost on an hour note. Yeah, this is very. This
Yeah.
is very interesting. Yeah. So usually when let's just give a few examples of What else
I'll
that
give
people
some
can do during
tips.
the void moons? Yes,
Yeah.
tips. Yes, do
So
that.
because you want to consider, things that you want to do during a moon void, so it's a time that if you have already started a project, you want to be editing the project. So it's a good time to edit and go over old work. It's an amazing time for meditating, reflecting, journaling, resting. I often sleep. If I know the moon is void, today in the middle of the day for half an hour, 1 hour, I will take a sleep in that time, because I'm like, well, I might as well, give my body what it needs. And what I have found is during a moon void, and especially like you mentioned, Jasmina, on Saturday in Europe, in Canada, you had a long moon
Yeah,
void for the whole day.
yeah,
You might have found that, the day was very slow, people were moody, you were tired, but you may have slept 8, 9 hours, but you're still tired and you can't explain it. Well, it's often during a moon void that we are very restless and can't focus and can't concentrate. And so it's a good
yeah,
time, obviously, to retreat and go inwards,
yeah.
because the way I look at it,
I'm just gonna say,
did you experience?
yes. Not only like as a Virgo rising, I like to kind of make order in my everyday stuff. So, okay, the void moon, let me just clear all the things that I don't need that I know that I don't need, in a way that to produce something and give me some results in the future. And that's how I or clean up, or this is my kind of meditation. I know it's weird, but Virgo risings have meditations through cleaning and doing the
You're
dishes. I
funny.
know it's weird,
It
but but
makes
because
sense.
I'm on with I'm also doing some service and practical, but I'm in my thoughts. So anyway, it's a funny thing.
Yeah, yeah. Very mercurial.
Yeah, yeah. So I do a
So
bunch of those things. Bunch
yeah.
of those things.
So I guess, like, look at the moon void as like a permission slip to take time
Right.
off, from doing the things that you'd normally be doing. Give yourself that break, stop pushing through, and you will experience a lot more leverage in the
Right.
projects and your day-to-day life. So
Yet
it's
nothing
just, yeah,
important.
take note
Like
of
not.
it.
I don't. Yeah. Sorry. I just don't do anything important and nothing that, oh my god, this is important to me. I do everyday things that are really have no importance to me whatsoever. Whatever
Of
I'm
course.
doing. Clean
And
clean the
like
kitchen or
you, like,
clean this.
of course. And like you, I've trained my husband where if he's making a purchase, like if he's buying,
Oh yeah.
an expensive piece for his music or his music production, he'll always ask me, "Is today a good day?" And then I'll be like, "Not before this time," or "It's better to do it on Wednesday," or whatever it may be. And he's just so used to it now because we've experienced, technology issues in the past where we've bought something and then it breaks down quickly or it doesn't work and you have to go through the returns process, and you just want to avoid that. So
Yes.
the whole point of using the moon void is to maximize the energies, and the potential that we have access to.
Amazing. Awesome. Yeah, that's perfect. I think that's a great sum up of everything. I think you gave us so many great insights and great examples and tips and practical stuff. And I love talking to you. We have to do something else soon because you are amazing.
Definitely.
Such a great teacher. Uh, Please, everybody, go check Natasha, both her and YouTube and podcasts, Navigating Magic. Uh, I'm going
Thanks,
to mention both of your
Jasmina.
accounts. Yeah, no, it's really, really nice. And you're such a nice person to talk to and so smart. Anyway, I
Oh,
loved it.
thank
I
you.
loved it. Yeah, thank you
Keep
so much for
going, keep
this.
going.
Yeah, no. And usually I love your stories. You always on your stories, literally, you always have practical things to tell people. And what is Natasha doing? What is she saying today? Like
Oh,
it's really practical and I love my Virgo rising loves that.
thank you
So,
so much.
so
It
your
means a lot.
so your moon is actually, what did you say? What degree is your moon?
27 Virgo.
Yeah, so it's right on my ascendant a little bit. I'm 28 Virgo
Ah,
ascendant. There you go. I knew there was a
there you
connection.
go.
I
That
knew there was a
explains a
connection.
lot.
Yeah, because I
I
really
love
feel
this.
very comfortable with you. Like I know you my whole life, so that's really nice.
Likewise.
That's the connection. Yeah. Well, that's another
Beautiful.
topic, guys. Synastry is another topic. We might talk about that as well. That's very
Yes.
interesting. Yeah.
Planting
Awesome.
seeds.
Yeah, planting seeds. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody, for
Thanks,
joining.
Katrina.
Hugs
Speak
and kisses,
soon.
and talk soon. Okay. Have a great
Bye.
day. Bye.
You
Bye,
too.
everybody.
Bye.